What if I told you there's a secret language that makes any man completely obsessed with you? Not just attracted, not just interested, but genuinely addicted to the point where he can't function properly without you in his life. I'm talking about the kind of devotion where he cancels plans with friends just to spend 5 more minutes with you, where he turns down other women without even thinking about it, and where the thought of losing you actually makes his chest tight with panic. You think I'm exaggerating? I'm not. There's a specific psychological trigger that most women accidentally ignore, and it happens in your most vulnerable moments together. When you master this trigger, you don't just become unforgettable, you become irreplaceable. And here's the kicker: it has nothing to do with your looks, your body, or even your bedroom skills. It's about what you say in those intimate moments when his guard is completely down. Most women think keeping a man is about being perfect, about never showing weakness, about always being the cool girl who doesn't need anything. But that's exactly backwards. The women who keep men obsessed understand something most don't. Men don't fall in love with perfection. They fall in love with how you make them feel about themselves. And there's no moment when a man is more emotionally receptive than when he's physically connected to you. That's when his logical brain shuts off and his emotional brain takes over. That's when your words don't just reach his ears, they reach his soul. But here's what separates the women who get ghosted from the women who get proposed to. It's not about saying the right things, it's about triggering the right feelings. And I'm about to show you exactly how to do that, because once you understand the psychological patterns I'm about to reveal, you'll never worry about another woman again. He won't even see them. Why? Because you'll have given him something no other woman can replicate. Let me start with the most powerful trigger, and this might surprise you. The secret isn't making him feel good about himself. Any woman can do that with compliments. The secret is making him feel necessary. There's a massive difference. When you make a man feel good, you stroke his ego. But when you make him feel necessary, you stroke his identity. And men will fight to the death to protect their identity. Here's what this looks like in practice. Instead of saying, "That feels amazing, try this," whisper in his ear, "I need this. I need you." Do you feel the difference? You're not just complimenting his performance. You're telling him he fulfills a need that no one else can. You're positioning him as essential to your happiness, not just a provider of pleasure. And that word, need, is pure psychological gold because it implies scarcity. It implies that without him, something is missing. Men are secretly terrified of being replaceable. They might act confident, but deep down, every man wonders if he's just a temporary placeholder until someone better comes along. When you tell him you need him, especially in moments of intense intimacy, you're directly addressing that fear. You're telling him he's not replaceable, he's necessary. And once a man believes he's necessary to your well-being, he'll move mountains to stay in that position. But here's where most women mess this up. They think need means desperation. It doesn't. There's a crucial difference between needing someone from a place of strength versus needing them from a place of weakness. When you tell him you need him while you're confident, powerful, and choosing to be with him, it's intoxicating. When you tell him you need him because you're insecure and clinging, it's repulsive. The context is everything. Now let me teach you the second trigger, and this one is even more powerful because it taps into something primal. You want to make him feel like your protector, not just your lover. This isn't about playing helpless or acting weak. This is about acknowledging his strength in a way that makes him feel essential to your safety and security. And there's a specific phrase that triggers this response like nothing else. During intimate moments when he's holding you close, whisper this: "I feel so safe with you. The whole world disappears when you're with me." That combination is lethal because you're hitting 2 psychological buttons simultaneously. First, you're triggering his protector instinct by telling him he makes you feel safe. Second, you're triggering his significance by telling him he has the power to make your world disappear. Men are biologically wired to want to protect and provide. When you acknowledge that he's successfully doing both, it creates an addictive feedback loop. But here's the genius part. You're not just making him feel strong. You're making him feel like your specific source of strength. Any man can be strong in general, but you're telling him he's the one who makes you feel protected. That specificity is what creates the addiction. He doesn't just want to be strong anymore. He wants to be strong for you. And once that shift happens, he starts seeing his masculinity through the lens of how it affects you. The third trigger is something I call emotional amplification. And this is where you separate yourself from every other woman he's ever been with. Most women think great sex is about physical technique, but the women who create obsession understand that great sex is about emotional intensity, and the fastest way to amplify emotion is through vulnerability and gratitude combined. Here's the exact formula. When you're in that moment of peak connection, when you're both completely present, you say something like this: "I can't believe how lucky I am. I never knew it could feel like this. You've changed everything for me." Notice what you've done here. You've combined gratitude with amazement, with transformation. You're not just telling him he's good, you're telling him he's revolutionary. You're not just complimenting the moment, you're telling him he's changed your entire experience of intimacy. Men remember the women who make them feel transformational. Any woman can make him feel good for an hour, but the woman who makes him feel like he's changed her life becomes unforgettable. You're essentially telling him that your experience of pleasure itself is different because of him. That's not just ego stroking, that's identity shifting. And once a man believes he's transformed your relationship with intimacy, he becomes possessive of that transformation. He doesn't want anyone else to experience what he's given you. The fourth trigger is about creating emotional ownership, and this is where you really lock him in. Ownership isn't about possession, it's about belonging. It's about making him feel like he has a place in your life that no one else can fill. And there's a specific way to do this that bypasses his logical mind completely. During those quiet moments after intimacy, when you're both vulnerable and connected, you tell him this. "You know what scares me? How much I love this. How much I love us. I've never felt like this with anyone. And it terrifies me how much I don't want to lose it." This is psychological dynamite because you're doing several things at once. You're expressing vulnerability, which creates intimacy. You're expressing uniqueness, which creates specialness. And you're expressing fear of loss, which creates urgency. But here's the key. You're not being needy or insecure. You're being honest about the intensity of what you feel. Men can sense the difference between desperation and depth. When you express that you're almost overwhelmed by how good things are between you, it makes him want to protect and preserve what you have together. It makes him feel like he's created something precious, something worth fighting for. The fifth trigger is about future anchoring, but not in the way most women think. Most women make the mistake of talking about the future from a place of uncertainty. Mm-hmm. Where is this going? What are we? That creates pressure. Instead, you want to talk about the future from a place of certainty, as if it's already decided. And there's a specific way to do this that makes him want to live up to your vision. You say something like this: "I love imagining all the years we're going to have together, all the ways we're going to grow together. I can't wait to see how even better this gets. Do you see what you've done?" You haven't asked him about the future. You've painted a picture of it. You haven't created pressure. You've created anticipation. You've spoken about your future together as if it's not a question, it's a given. This works because men respond to leadership, even in relationships. When you paint a compelling vision of the future and speak about it with certainty, he starts to see it too. You're not pushing him toward commitment. You're pulling him toward a future he wants to be part of. And once he starts imagining that future, he begins to invest in it emotionally. But here's where it gets really powerful. The sixth trigger is about creating emotional addiction through unpredictability. Now, I don't mean being inconsistent or playing games. I mean being emotionally unpredictable in your depth and intensity. Sometimes you're the confident woman who knows exactly what she wants. Sometimes you're the vulnerable woman who's amazed by what she's feeling. This range keeps him emotionally engaged because he never knows which version of your emotional truth he's going to experience. One night you might whisper, "I love how powerful you make me feel, like I could conquer the world as long as you're with me." Another night you might say, "You make me feel so vulnerable, so open. I've never let anyone this close before." Both are true, both are powerful, and both hit different psychological triggers. The first makes him feel like your source of strength. The second makes him feel like your chosen confidant. The seventh trigger is about creating shared secrets and inside jokes even in intimate moments. This builds a world that only the two of you share. You might say something like, "Remember how nervous we both were that first time. Look at us now. We're perfect together." This creates a sense of shared history and evolution. You're not just lovers, you're conspirators in your own love story. The eighth trigger is about making him feel irreplaceable through specificity. Instead of generic compliments, you get specific about what he does that no one else has ever done. The way you look at me when you're inside me, like I'm the only woman who's ever existed. No one has ever looked at me like that. This level of specificity makes him feel unique, not just good. Now here's the advanced technique that separates amateurs from masters. You want to occasionally express gratitude, not just for how he makes you feel, but for who he is as a person. During intimate moments, you might say, "Thank you for being exactly who you are, for being the kind of man who can love me this way. I'm so grateful I found you." This creates emotional depth that goes beyond the physical. You're appreciating his character, his essence, his soul. The ninth trigger is about expressing amazement at the connection itself. I can't believe how perfectly we fit together, not just physically, but emotionally. It's like we were designed for each other. This makes him feel like what you have isn't just good, it's rare, it's special, it's worth protecting. The 10th and most powerful trigger is about expressing transformation. You've changed me. I didn't even know I could feel this way. You've awakened something in me I didn't know existed. This is the ultimate psychological hook, because you're telling him he hasn't just pleased you, he's evolved you. And men become addicted to the idea that they've unlocked a version of you that no one else will ever see. But here's the crucial element that makes all of this work: timing. These phrases don't work if you use them at random moments. They work because you're using them when his emotional defenses are down, when he's physically and emotionally vulnerable, when he's most receptive to emotional programming. You're essentially rewiring his association with intimacy. Instead of just associating it with physical pleasure, he starts associating it with emotional significance, with being needed, with being special, with being chosen, with being transformational. And here's why this creates obsession rather than just attraction. Attraction is about wanting someone in the moment. Obsession is about needing someone for your emotional well-being. When you consistently make him feel necessary, protective, transformational, and irreplaceable during your most intimate moments, you're not just creating good memories, you're creating emotional dependency. Not the unhealthy kind based on insecurity, but the beautiful kind based on the fact that he genuinely experiences a better version of himself when he's with you. This is why he won't be tempted by other women. It's not that he doesn't notice them, it's that they can't offer him what you do. They might be able to offer physical pleasure, but can they make him feel necessary? Can they make him feel like a protector? Can they make him feel transformational? Can they make him feel irreplaceable? If you've done this right, the answer is no, because you haven't just become his lover, you've become the mirror in which he sees his best self. Remember, men don't just want to be wanted, they want to be needed. They don't just want to be attractive, they want to be essential. They don't just want to be enjoyed, they want to be treasured. And when you give a man all of that consistently, especially in moments when he's most vulnerable, you don't just win his heart, you become the standard by which he measures every other woman. And trust me, no one else will measure up. So here's your action plan tonight, or the next time you're together. Choose one of these triggers and use it authentically. Watch how his energy shifts. Notice how he holds you tighter, looks at you deeper, kisses you more intensely. That's the moment you'll know you've tapped into something powerful. That's the moment he starts becoming addicted to how you make him feel about himself. And if you want to learn even more advanced techniques for creating unbreakable emotional bonds, make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. I share relationship secrets that most people will never discover. Because remember, the woman who understands male psychology doesn't just get the man, she keeps him obsessed for life. That's the difference between being chosen and being chased forever.